Ecstatic Bliss. Secrets to living a juicy life. Welcome to today's episode here at Ecstatic Bliss, Secrets to Living a Juicy Life. Today we have one of my most precious and favorite topics, which is called identity shifting. I have dived into that topic multiple years now, and I can say it's one of the game changers for our life. It's really a game changer in the sense that you consciously can create and reinvent yourself however you wish, as if you wanted to design your own character and your own story, and your own life story. That's why I see that topic as so essential actually for whole humanity. And I'm really, really glad you are here now to listen to some of my inspirations for you, some of my wisdom that I gained over the years and the insights from my own journey as usual. So maybe first of all, what is our identity? And you may have an idea of it, just so that we are on the same page here at the beginning. Your identity is basically the accumulation of the labels you give yourself. Yes, so we all somehow give ourselves, and also are given from others, some labels in terms of our name, our age, our gender, anything that you identify with. Usually, for example, if you introduce yourself, you can really listen to yourself if you introduce yourself next time, because then you know what general labels you put on yourself. These labels make up our identity, and they are based on our belief system and our conditioning. So in a way, you can also say the identity is a result of our belief system and our conditioning. And we have an identity, we give ourselves an identity, we project identities onto others so that we can somehow navigate throughout life, that we can see, okay, this is me, this is you, this is her, this is him, this is whoever, so that we have kind of a compass in our life to also judge, to also distinguish between, okay, this is a person that contributes to my life, to my well-being and happiness, or this is maybe a person I want to keep my distance from because that person maybe is not really in alignment with my values, and so forth. So it gives us some certain navigation throughout life. And also, very important, what I come back probably later in this episode, is that our identity is the base for our reality. So our identity shapes really our reality. And that is why also identity shifting and conscious identity creation is so important, to really live a conscious life and create your reality consciously, to manifest your life really. And throughout life, actually, we always have an identity. We always have something that defines us, some labels put on us so that we can navigate, as I said. And this identity changes naturally, automatically throughout our life, multiple times. And maybe if you look back into your life, throughout your life path, you can maybe distinguish, okay, this time phase or this age, I lived this identity. This phase, I lived this identity. So in a way, we transition from identity to identity to identity, because obviously we transform, we grow, we evolve, and we become more and more conscious about ourselves, our essence, our truth. Because in a way, actually, it's all about coming back to our essence. Yes, you can endlessly listen to me saying that it's always and again coming back to our essence, but on that path we can play. So our identity shifts automatically throughout life, also based on our experiences and insights into ourselves and reality itself. And in a way, also, I feel identities are a way how our soul not only expresses itself, but can also experience the multidimensional beingness on being on Earth and beyond, not only on Earth. So it is a way how our soul plays and explores this beingness, being in the physical body, but still being connected to above, to explore and experience and play. Because each identity has kind of a framework, a little bit like definitions around in which area you circulate in. For example, I used to be very much into horse riding, and that was an identity that dreamed of living on a horse farm or something like that, having an own horse or maybe multiple horses, going out with the horses, everything about horses. I had all my room cluttered with posters of horses. I was reading magazines. So this was definitely one very strong identity I used to live to make that experience being in the field of horse riding and horses in general. Yes. So it somehow also gave me not only an insight, but also initiated me into something, activated something inside of me. Another identity, for example, of me was more the musician. Another identity was the dancer. So we have also common archetypes actually that are found in these identities that you transition through. And very helpful for you that I invite you to do actually is also to, maybe after that podcast episode, to sit down and write down, okay, these are the identities I already lived so far. Yeah, you most probably know by now already quite a few identities that you explored. Maybe some of them you really enjoyed. Some of them were maybe very tedious or maybe even painful. So we have all sorts of identities. And in a way, actually, identities are like the roles you play here on Earth. The roles you assign to yourself, but also the roles someone else assigns to you, or even society assigns to you. And we can have also multiple identities in parallel, which is also quite interesting. Because it also, if you connect it with the role play, you are at home someone else than at work. You are in your group of friends or soul family, someone else than in your genetic family. Yeah. So depending also on your environment, on your surrounding, on the people you are with, even the country you are in or the flat you are living in, how it is designed, and the surroundings in general, influence which identity, which role you play right now. And that also happens automatically, as I said. You don't really have to think about it, it's automatically happening. And if you remember from one of my past episodes, I explained how I see the essence, our true nature, as a gift inside, being surrounded by a lot of layers that are these identities, actually, the wrapping paper around it. Yeah, the gift inside is the essence, the wrapping papers around are the identities. And what I think and what I gained the insight into, it's about playing with the identities, consciously creating identities, but in a sense also, the more conscious you become, the more your identity will align to your true essence. Yeah, again, the more conscious you are, the more your identity, the identity you consciously create, will align more and more to your true essence. So let's see if this is really possible to match an identity fully with your essence, because then you're probably at the end of your path of your lifetime or even over multiple lifetimes. But in a sense, it's an approximation of identities towards your essence. And that's a really interesting fact, because naturally our system thrives for authenticity, for expression of our essence through an identity, through a role. And sometimes I know that roles and masks and identities are sometimes, from some people maybe, negatively seen, negatively talked about. But as I see it, it's really a great tool to play, to explore, to experience really the multidimensional aspect of yourself. And even the multi persona you can be here on earth in that human body. So this is why I see identity shifting so important throughout the whole life. And it's something that came a little bit more into the field, I feel, 2020, when we had a lot of restrictions, when we were a lot inside and also focused internally, maybe more confronted with things that we were questioning, including how we live, who we are, what we want in life. So lots of people actually in that phase started to question their identity consciously. Before, I felt a lot in society was more automatism, and just single individuals were already digging into the deeper secrets of the universe and ourselves. But since 2020, I would say more and more people become aware, and that terminology of identity shifting actually comes more and more into the field. How also to consciously do it. Yeah, it's always, like I said, if you know a concept, it's nice, but if you know how to consciously use it, it's even better. It's a perfect way of applying it into your life so that you actually benefit from it. So that's the identity and identity shifting. Now, how do we shift our identity? That's actually quite a simple process in terms of how I explain it. And the more you consciously do it, the more you practice doing it, the easier it gets actually. And sometimes even that is an automatism then that evolves because your system already knows, okay, this is what I have to do in a way to shift to my next level version. And by the way, I can also say here that identity shifting, I've created already a lot of things you can work with already. I started actually with a workbook, solely a workbook that's also still available, and also did an audio course, self-guided audio course called Magic Identity Shift. I will put the links in the show notes, and it's also still available single or on Insight Timer if you have that premium subscription. And it's a very nice, beautiful way to start shifting your identity, Magic Identity Shift. And also one of my major mentoring programs over several weeks is identity shifting. So if you want support on your journey, then you want any new insights and also the guidance through, especially the in-between state, what I'm about to talk about next, because the in-between state is probably the most challenging one. If you want support there, then please reach out. Or if you first need some guidance, some insights, if this is the right thing to do for you right now, then you can also book your free call as always. Yes. So what's the process? The process is a 4-step process. You can also dense it down to 3 steps, which is, first of all, you have to know what identity, which role you are playing right now. Very down to the basics. And maybe you see yourself even from a third eye view, from a bird's eye perspective, as a character playing in your life story, the main character. Yes? So what is this character looking like? What is that character behaving like? Habits, routines, everyday life, thoughts, belief system, surroundings. How does she or he dress? What are the habits of, anything? Actually, you get the point, I think. It's looking in your internal world and external world. What constitutes your constitutes your current character, your current identity. And really, it helps in the beginning to note that down, to journal it out, what comes into your mind that you think about yourself. Self-reflection. Patterns, habits, routines, beliefs, typical emotions and states of beings you are in, and what type of food you eat, how you dress yourself, your family, your friends, all of that you can note down. Maybe you know this pie chart of life areas. That's actually very helpful, so that you have a guidance system to see, okay, in this life area I'm like this, in this life area I'm like this, and so forth. Yeah, so as if you wanted to go through all life areas and note down what's your current reality, what's your current identity. And then in the second step, you do the same thing, but for your dream reality, for your dream identity. So you again go through those questions. Who am I, or what am I? What are my habits? What do I dress? What do I eat? What do I do? Yeah, professionally, but also outside of profession in my free time, and so forth. You note down again, what is it that your next level identity, I always call it next level identity or next level version, because there are always stages and steps. What you see now as your next level is in few years, maybe even next week already, an outdated version of yourself. And I feel even with the time quality moving so fast and so many changes happening, is actually that these identity shifts also happen faster. And that you maybe at some point have to keep track of, okay, this is my next level. And then you transition in your next level and you're already like, okay, this is already outdated. I have to go to the next step to really embody. That's the last stage, actually, to embody my identity. So coming back to step number 2 is, again, writing your next level identity down. Maybe even you have a creative way of putting it into something. Yeah, classical is vision board, but maybe you're good in drawing. Then maybe it's something like this, or doing some collages, whatever helps you. And the third step is one of the most important steps, I feel, which is again bridging from A to B, bridging from the old, outdated identity to the next level, new identity. And in this bridge, you are in the so-called in-between state. And that's, like I mentioned, the most challenging state on your journey, I would say. Even I sometimes feel still this is the most challenging, where I would suggest you to have, especially in the beginning, some support. Either it's, like I said, something like my guided audio course or workbook, or my mentoring, where I really are always present with you, because it's not only online live sessions with me, but also in between WhatsApp or Telegram support, whatever you prefer. So you have kind of like a tiny me on your side whenever you feel stuck or need some motivation or drive to really switch. Yes, because our old identity, which is a lot connected with our ego, is quite smart to cling on you. It's like sticky paper, like a chewing gum sticking on you, and doesn't want to leave, because your system is used to living day in, day out that identity. And then there's something new you created just by your mind and by your visualization. And it's maybe in the beginning quite faint, quite far, like a faint cloud hovering above you. And your old identity is like, no, this is my body. This is my, whatever, my mind, my emotions. It's really, really clingy. Obviously, also this gets better the more often you shift, because you are more able to let go easily of outdated and blocking elements of yourself and outdated identities. So this old identity and the new identity will have some challenges together. some conversations, maybe some fights. And your task is how to solve this challenge between your old and your new self. And to step into your new self, it's always and again part that you shift your belief system, that you work on your limiting beliefs, erase them out, and implant in your side new beliefs. And maybe the podcast episode about reprogramming your system yourself is helpful in that, because there I explain a little bit more in detail how you do that, which is actually also a 3-step or 4-step process. Same with identity shifting. And it's also about digging deeper, even maybe in your past lives, in ancestral things, in karma things. So we always have in this transitioning phase all the tools we have in spirituality that you can apply, that become handy and helpful, helping you from A to B. These are the tools. These are the flowers on your path to the new identity. If you see it as a path from your old to your new, you have a lot of flowers you can pick for your bouquet, which you hand over to your next level identity in the end, saying like, I've made it to my new self. And this is actually this in-between state. What you can do is really internal, a lot internal, but also external. So it's always inside, outside, reflects itself, mirror itself. You know that. And sometimes for some it's easier to start internally. For some it's easier to start externally, or to do both in parallel, obviously the best. And one very, very helpful tip I can give you, and I always give each one I'm talking about identity shifting, is changing your clothes. It's something so simple and easy you can do to change what you wear. Because if you imagine your next level identity, you can envision, okay, how does she or he look like? And then you can go to shopping or even online, more convenient nowadays. You can look if you find something exactly matching that vibration of your identity that you already see inside of you. Yeah, you already see it because it's inside of you. It's just about activating some things so it can be lived in that dense reality. It's already you. And also if you go shopping, I actually had a long phase, and still sometimes I do that when I'm out going somewhere and I see something, oh, this is nice. I'm always checking in with my higher self. Okay, is this how my next level version, my higher self version would dress? Or is it just a short-term excitement of something I really love or that looks beautiful? And that you can ask yourself as well. What would your identity wear? And then going shopping, it doesn't have to be like a whole new closet. Just one outfit is for the beginning enough already. And maybe you want to even charge this, what you wear, your clothes, with that energy of your new version. And then if you wear it, you kind of like have a physical anchor of reminding yourself of what your next level version identity would feel. Because usually, if you have noticed, if we dress in a certain way, even if it's just like, okay, it's birthday and you dress a little bit more chic, or it's a wedding or any occasion where you dress different from your everyday life, you feel different. You feel maybe more in your goddess version, or you feel more in your shamanic version, or whatever it is you want to activate. Clothes are one big, huge tip, magical tip that shifts your energy and shifts your identity quite easily. This is something you can start right now, actually, because one next tiny step in between is to see what can I actually do right now already. Sometimes we're like, okay, this is not in place, this is not in place, this I don't have, and so forth, the lack mentality. It's about shifting into the abundance mentality to see what can I do now and what is already there. And most probably parts of your new identity you already live actually. It's just to make those tiny glimpses on your next level version bigger, huge, more huge, putting it on the steering wheel. Yes. And then after that step, in between is usually the longest stage. Then comes the fourth stage, which is implementing it into your everyday life on a consistent basis. There, your transformation that happens throughout the in-between state is really to be applied in your physical reality. It's the application of your transformation, the integration. And that can also take quite some time because it also depends on your dedication. It depends on the commitment you give yourself to always and again come back to that new version that you want to embody. Embodiment. Embodiment is all about coming into the body. That's how the name suggests. And feeling it internally first. This is my new version. This is the frequency, the vibration of my higher self identity. And then radiating it outside, embodying it outside, so that not only you can feel it, but that also others can feel it, can see it, can sense it, can have the taste of you, of your new you. So these are the 4 steps. First, the identification of your current identity, then the identification of your to be, your dream, your next level identity. Then the in-between state of transitioning and transforming, of healing, of growing, of shedding layers, of doing all the work. And the 4th stage of integrating and implementing it into your everyday life. What can happen on the path quite often in the beginning is that you feel stuck or looping in some sort of procrastination, of your clinging identity, of things where you feel, actually, I cannot access that part. There's a part that's still blocking my next evolution, blockages. Maybe also outer circumstances. Because if we are, just as an example, if we are struggling with the basic needs, maybe you know the pyramid of Maslow. Yeah, it's like a pyramid of needs, the basic needs, and it comes higher, where at the highest top is actually self-realization and self-expansion. So all the spiritual healing and transformation happens at the very top. And if the basic needs of food, of shelter, of having something to drink, safety, are not fulfilled, you cannot really easily access the higher stages. It's not impossible, I would say, but it's a little bit more important for our system, obviously, to get food than to shape our new reality and identity. It's intertwined. But if you are in a stressful situation, first of all, our system goes to that stress, goes to sort and find solution. So if we are in any of those situations, maybe it's also not really allowing yourself to focus and to shift. And that is why I can repeat, on that journey, help is very beneficial, because sometimes we are so blocked in our own view and patterns and how we see ourselves. Sometimes there are sentences like, or beliefs actually like, I always used to be like this, or this is not me, this is me, this is not me, or I don't really feel this is me. I feel completely changed and transformed, or others reflected outside, you completely changed, or all those beliefs and sentences that can maybe come up, and you're like, okay, I don't know, I just rather stick to what I have because I know this is working. In a way, it's working. And that's a usual mechanism of remaining in the comfort zone, remaining what we already know. But you maybe know that's this image of this is your comfort zone, and outside there is a dot where your magic happens. So we have to transition out of the comfort zone and grow us bigger so we can see the magic of us, ourselves that lies beyond that. And it's always coming with some unknown component. I can confirm that there's always an unknown component in that story. Yeah. So we cannot figure out mentally everything. There's an unknown component that is guided by the divine. And this is about surrendering. I will talk about that topic most probably in some of the next episodes, because it's one of the key elements. Surrendering is one of the key elements of living a soul-led, divinely guided life, which is in flow, which is in ease and peace and harmony with your essence and the truth. So be aware that there most probably are some challenges on that path, but it's also seeing it as if you see that, okay, this is my character and I'm living a story of my life here, and I can shape my story, I can shape my character. Invite that excitement, invite that playfulness, invite your curiosity. What is possible beyond what I currently am and what I currently live? Because we have so many parts, we have so many dimensions, we have a lot inside of us. We are actually quite complex. And yes, it's easy to put it in easy words or to dense it down to an easy single person, but you have so much more, and your soul knows it. And if you are here listening to that, you most probably can also access that excitement again. It's a childish excitement and curiosity about yourself, about life, about this world, about being incarnated as a human being, and at the same time being spiritual. So this was today's important topic about identity shifting. And I really, really wish from my heart that you make use of these tools I shared about this process, how you shift and shape, and yeah, just make that version of yourself that you feel already inside. It's bubbling. Usually something is bubbling under the surface, and then it's just about tapping into it. Maybe first dipping your toe in it and then diving deep into that water, who you truly can be. You are not stuck in one version. You are not stuck in that system or body you are currently in. You can always change, you can always shift again, and if your next level version is not as satisfying as you thought it would be, you can shift again, and you can even shift back if you want to. And sometimes old identities maybe repeat in cycles, but on a higher frequency, on a higher level, because they are all part of us. They are all part of us. And to remember, in the end, you will at some point approach more and more, if you do that constantly, identity shifting, you will approach more and more your true essence. And that is actually where our soul is like exhaling. Finally, I've arrived back home. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. I really appreciate your feedback. And yes, if you have anyone in your circle of soul family, friends, family, anyone you know who would benefit from the content I share, I would really appreciate if you just share my channel or any episode you feel is valuable for someone, helpful for someone. Subscribe if you haven't, to also have the bliss next week or the secrets to living a juicy life. In this sense, much love and much bliss.